Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from Afterlife, Part of Me, out August 13th on Hopeless Records. This album has 10 tracks, 29 minutes in length, and this is the band's second full-length studio album. They are an American new metalcore band. Now at first glance, this album feels very compact. You got 10 songs, 29 minutes, you blink, the album is gone. But that's not actually the nature of the record itself. Once you listen to this album, you start to realize that there's a lot of volatility within this record. There's incredible ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys, really making this album compact, but at the same time feeling like a roller coaster ride with a lot of aggression, a lot of intensity, and then some slower moments to really allow you to catch your breath from that experience. So it's an album that's always moving, that's always growing, that's always changing, and that keeps things exciting, that keeps things interesting from a listener's point of view. Now, all of this is happening because the soundscape is really driving these ebbs and flows and these peaks and valleys, because outside of the overall structure of the record, the individual song structure feels very similar track in and track out. There are some changes here and there, but the changes are not really abrupt or really drastic to really create a different song that feels completely out of the box from everything else that's happening around it. The changes are really being introduced by its soundscape, by the influences that drive the experience of the sound. And either it be the new metal side of the band or the metalcore side of the band, so depending on where you land, you're going to get a different experience, because I didn't find any song that took 50% of one and 50% of the other. I always felt like the pendulum swung one way or the next. The issue that I have with this approach is that the songs that go towards the new metal arena, that have more of a ballad style melancholic approach, really deflate the balloon, really takes away the aggression and intensity that overall this record has. And while that would work on an album like this, the album would require to have at least 2 or 3 more songs and to be around the 40 to 45 minute mark. Because for an album that's this compact of 10 tracks in 29 minutes, you really need pedal to the metal from the get-go all the way through. You need as much aggression as possible, you need as much intensity as possible, and the record has that. So when you throw in a couple of songs within this album that have a little bit of a slow down momentum, that really pump the brakes, if you will, while they're necessary in order to slow down things and allow the listener to catch his breath, having too many of them really slows down the record too much, and it breaks the structure of the album, and it breaks the overall playability of the record. There's a little bit of a disconnect going from one track into the next. So either you smooth that transition with some better nuances or some creativity in terms of how you merge that new metal sound with a more aggressive metalcore approach, or you extend the album, creating a few more tracks, making the album a little bit longer, and then you can introduce these songs that create a pause, that create a break, and it will feel perfectly, because the overall journey is one that it's longer, therefore requiring a few more pauses. Outside of that, this is not a record that's driven by one element within the soundscape. This is really an album that lives off of the quality of its elements, the drums, the guitars, how they come together, how they coexist, how they drive the experience, how they drive the soundscape. The electronic elements on this record are really outstanding as well. I really felt like they added a lot of momentum to the album, added an extension of the atmosphere that the record has. So I really like how all of these things coexist with one another and really work well in order to create a unique fingerprint for the record. So this is an album that lives off of the quality of the elements once again, but not necessarily living off just of the guitars or just of the drums or how they're put together or how they drive the experience. The combination of all of them really drives this record forward. On top of it all, you have the vocals. I really enjoyed the vocals. Definitely one of the highlights of this album, in terms of the aggression, in terms of the melody, in terms of the power, the intensity that they bring to the forefront. The screaming vocals are phenomenal. They really capture the attention of the listener, and they really capture the essence of the lyrics. This is not an album that from a lyrical perspective has a lot for you to digest or a lot for you to process. What you see is what you get, straight to the point, and it's easy for you to really gravitate towards it and understand exactly what the message is on any given song on this record. So that aggression, that screaming vocals really brings that home, really jumps that into the forefront, allowing those tracks to be more memorable, to be more catchy, to be more hooky. On the other side, when it goes into more of a clean style vocals, or when it goes more into almost a hip-hop style delivery, or even a narrator, or you add electronic elements, it just creates more diversity of sound, creates more diversity of approach, and I really like that because it just gives you more things. It makes the songs feel a little bit thicker because you have a lot of simplicity as far as the structure goes and as far as the lyrical content is concerned. So by adding all of these different elements to how the vocals come across, it makes the song feel a little bit more compact packed. It makes the song feel a little bit more robust. There's a little bit more meat on the bone, if you will. Overall, I really enjoyed this record. This was a real fun record to listen to, and the quality of the individual songs is undeniable. It's just there are a few tracks on this album that almost don't feel like they belong there because of how outside of the normal parameters of the rest of the record they are. Like, they just feel like they pause the album too much. For a record, like I said, that has 10 songs, 29 minutes, you want it to be as aggressive from the get-go as possible. And if you want to include some of those songs, at least more than one, then you have to extend the length of the album in order for those songs to have a place to exist and not really hurt the overall playability of the record. But outside of that, I enjoyed the album. Great songs, great quality of tracks, really catchy, really hooky, a very interesting album to listen to. As far as favorite songs goes, I want to start off with Misfit Anthem. And this song is really an anthem. I mean, I don't think you can walk away from this song feeling otherwise. So they picked the perfect title for the perfect song in terms of how they construct it and how they deliver. A lot of aggression, a lot of heaviness, but also groovy at the same time. The electronic elements really add something else to this song. It brings everything together. It brings the grooviness, it brings the intensity, it brings the aggression all together, making the song feel a little bit more complete. Very contained in the verses, very explosive in the chorus, giving the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs. Love this track. Next, Not Giving Up, a more electronic driven song. I wouldn't go as far as to say that this is a ballad because it's not, but it definitely takes, it slows down a little bit. It feels a little bit more pop rock at times, and it definitely has the electronic elements of the verses driving the experience of the song, impacting how the vocals come across, and then obviously impacting the overall energy of the track. But once again, a track that offers those ups and downs because the verses feel a little bit more together, and then there's a little bit more of explosion in the chorus, also more hooky, more catchy, making the song completely come together as one and giving those nice ups and downs as you progress through it. Last but not least, you get Pure, a heavy, aggressive song, more linear, not as much of an ebb and flow as you progress through the song. You get more of a sense of continuity, a sense of getting to the end point, the end result, with a lot of aggression, a lot of intensity, the drums and guitars working really well together to really pave the way to create that path of heaviness that this song has, and then the screaming vocals are the icing on the cake to really bring that aggression home, to really be in your face from the get-go. The simplicity of the chorus works really well on this song, allows it to be memorable but still heavy at the same time. This is it, Afterlife, Part of Me, August 13th, Hopeless Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.